welcome to another episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast. I'm Julie Podewitz, CEO and founder, and today I welcome Karen Foley to the show. Welcome, Karen.
Oh, thank you for having me.
This webinar is brought to you by SalesMail, the #1 personalized video app for senior living.
Built on a powerful ROI and an unmatched customer experience, SalesMail's App Store ratings tell the only story you need to know. Generating higher click-through and conversion rates, SalesMail is a video app of choice for sales and marketing pros everywhere. Day after day, SalesMail users leverage video to build brand loyalty, create human connection, quickly establish trust, stand out from competitors, and get desired results faster.
I'm so looking forward to this conversation. Karen is the Senior Vice President of Sales for LCB Senior Living. And I see you've got a jacket on, so I'm thinking you are in the Northeast, right?
I am in south of Boston, yes, and it is chilly here today.
A little chilly and the March coming in like a lion, no doubt, as it probably does every year.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. The groundhog sees his shadow probably every year. So Karen, LCB Senior Living, tell us a little bit about your organization.
Sure. LCB Senior Living has been around going on our 14th year. The founders of LCB actually were early founders in senior living back in the 90s and originally developed Newton Senior Living. But they've been around for 14 years. Company has always focused on new builds within certain markets within the Northeast. I joined the company 8 years ago, and it's been amazing. The company offers independent assisted living and memory care. A lot of what we do throughout all of our markets is a lot of education, research with families, and really helping guide our folks through the journey of senior living.
And how many communities in the portfolio?
Right now, today, we have 41 properties.
41. Okay, you've
Mhm.
great reputation. What
Mhm.
do you think, Karen, that you all do different, maybe slightly better than your competitors, in your opinion?
Oh, what a great question. For me, I've been with the company going on 8.5 years. I joke around with folks I work with. I feel like every day I wake up and I get to do what I love each and every day. And at LCB, they allow me to do that. What makes us different, I think we really simplify the process for our families and prospects looking at senior living. It's an overwhelming journey for families. And we recognize that. And again, I've been doing this over 30 years, and you recognize what our families are going through. So we truly have simplified it, and really have taken the process about educating and helping our families through their journey. One of our biggest differentiators is truly our team and our people. They emphasize, they understand families, and all of our team and our associates are part of that journey with them. So it truly is a family aspect or a family feel at LCB, and I think that really sets us apart from our competitors. While we're a business, we're really focusing on the family aspect of this decision-making process.
It's a tough one, and it's very
Yeah.
emotional. So keeping things as simple as possible, I would think, helps really bring clarity to an otherwise confusing, can be logistically confusing and emotionally confusing
Absolutely.
time for families. Well, I know you love what you do. And when you mentioned you get to do what you love to do every day, what is that?
Oh my gosh. Developing teams, developing our sales team, working side by side. Um, what I love about LCB is our openness to be creative. We've been doing this 15 years with this, or this company has been doing this for 15 years, but each day we're looking to say, what else do we need to do differently as we grow, as our prospects change and their needs change and how we approach folks. So I love just working side by side and helping families understand the process and working with their decision-making process. For me and my team, it's working side by side with my team, educating, teaching, and learning.
Yeah. Despite best efforts, sales can get pulled into operations at any level, or can get
Absolutely.
pulled away uh, out of what we really love to do and what we need to do, which
Right.
is generate revenue and staying in the sales realm at whatever level.
Hmm.
And, all the meetings and, all of the, travel is, certainly necessary, but that pulls our focus, and we
Hmm.
really need as much time possible at every level.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, speaking of sales and marketing, Karen, last time we talked, I learned a lot. But one thing you said really stuck with me. And I have to confess, I've been guilty of this on many, many occasions. But you mentioned something like, I really wish that salespeople at the community level, and really maybe
Hmm.
every level, would stop hearing in a panicked way, we've got to cover all our outs this month.
Oh, yes.
And especially when it's, a month, and a month with an unusual number, certainly not anything anyone wants to hurdle, if you will, but we all know outs happen.
Hmm.
But boy, have I been guilty of that. So tell me why you say that.
Oh, it's simple. And I can say this because again, I'm a salesperson at heart. Knowing our salesperson, how they operate and think. Um, for me, it's important that we protect our sales directors to be sales and sales only. You're right. They get pulled into many different aspects of the community because it's busy, it's hustle, it's bustle, it's 24/7. We're people caring for people. And there's a lot that happens in a community. But I'm very mindful of being able to protect our sales directors to do their job at task. One of the things I always say and teach to our sales director is control what you can control, right? You can control your visits, your conversations with your families, their journey they're taking. You can control all that, which then controls your performance and sales. What you can't control are move outs and what's happening at the community level. I always say to our team, while occupancy is the result of an entire team itself, a lot goes into that occupancy number. Our sales director have to be focused on what they're there to do, and really educate and help people make a buying decision, and hopefully make a buying decision in our community. But one of my teaching opportunities with executive directors and teams are keep that move out conversation away from your sales director because it makes us crazy. I mean, we start to, and I can say this, I'm a salesperson, perseverate on that move out, and it becomes an obstacle of me to move forward in my role, right? So I always say, stay away from having that conversation about the outs. Stay away from having a conversation to your sales director. You need to cover my outs. That's not their job. I always say, as to our sales directors, you have a specific task, you have a goal. Work towards that goal we gave you each month, each quarter. That's what you can control, and that's what you need to stay focused on. And our executive directors appreciate that conversation because, again, we don't want our sales directors to get in that panic reactive situation. So I try to keep the conversations very separate. If I could, I would stop even having a move out report generated to stop that conversation. But I do think, if we keep our sales director focused on what we've provided or the tasks we've given them and their goals, and stick to their goals and give them the time to do their job, that's what helps them become successful.
Yeah, I'm listening to you and I hear you. On the flip side, I think that in out net, knowing your net number
Hmm.
and understanding we don't control outs. We
Right.
don't control the actions of other people, but like you said, focus on what you can control, which is revenue generating
Hmm.
and activity and growing your skills. Is it not important to know that number, just to be aware of the net gain and loss, in your opinion?
Yes It is, but for them to recognize, again, that piece of the business is out of their control. We set realistic targets for our sales directors. Again, it's not a number. We can't walk into a month and say to our sales director, I need you to get 9 move-outs this month. Again, 9 move-outs to cover my 9 move-ins to cover my 9 move-outs. That's not realistic. We know sales is a cycle, and it's a process. And depending on your community sales cycle, it would be great if you had those immediate move-ins, but that doesn't always happen, So depending on what lead you're working in the source, and do you have a variation of sources that can lead to a quick sales cycle and longer sales cycle, that kind of helps with your funnel, your sales funnel, and your overall volume. But from a business perspective, they do need to understand, right, the back end of it. I want to protect them so that they're not caught up in the conversation about talking about move-outs and the why behind move-outs,
Oh,
which
got
is
it,
something
because it
they
gets in our
can't
head.
control.
Yeah, right. It
Yeah.
gets in our head, and we have enough obstacles to keeping our mindset
Yes.
fresh, and we get enough no's, and we get enough obstacles, and enough kind of maybe disappointments,
Yes.
in the natural course of a day or a week or a month in sales. We get a lot of no's. We get a lot of, those, oh, I thought that one was going to move forward and it doesn't.
Mhm.
And then working on our mindset reset and focus on moving forward, learning from the past, but not dwelling on it. And then guess what? We have 7 outs coming. While, yes, from a business perspective, we should definitely be aware, not allowing that to because
Yeah.
it's going to be paralyzing.
It can consume our sales director, and you can lose productivity, and again, it becomes a conversation that just can get in their way, if you will. We've been very successful in working with our community teams, and we always talk about the triad, right? Resident care director, sales director, executive director. That's a powerful combination. But a part of our education to the community department leaders is understanding that business equation. And so while our sales director have targets, our clinical team also have targets from a budget perspective. Do you understand when we set up a budget, what our move out pace looks like? Can we stay on track with our move out pace? Some move outs we can't have no control over, but the controllable move outs, are we talking about it at a community, daily, to see what we can do to minimize that? As long as our teams understand their individual goals, at the end of the day, that helps with occupancy, and help us get over it helps us to succeed our net gain objective.
Yeah, I just to hear you talk about the KPIs around, for instance, wellness. That
Yeah.
sounds so logical in the day-to-day whirlwind. I don't know this for a fact, but my guess is, from a wellness perspective, that number or that trend isn't tracked. It's
Yeah.
tracked like, okay, we have this many move outs, and we've got trending outs, but putting that responsibility for at least being aware of and tracking, and the why behind it, like you said, things you can't control, things you might be able to control. And
Correct.
staying focused on that. Each department needs to have top KPIs,
Yes.
a high level perspective, and then what are the actions or accountabilities around those. And again, it sounds so simple. I'm laser focused on the sales and marketing side of it, but every department needs to have similar systems and workflows and processes around that.
Absolutely. And it goes back to my original, when I onboard new associates, I always talk about that word occupancy, and what does occupancy mean? And it's the actions of multiple departments. Right. So we had that conversation when we educate and learn, or when we have learnings for our new associates. They need to be part of that equation. So understanding, to your point, understanding the why. I have an amazing operations team at LCB that they understand that equation, and our clinical staff wants to be part of the bigger picture, part of the growth of the community. So understanding how that budget works and what their targets are and how we can stay within that is super helpful. super,
yeah.
super helpful for them to be educated and help their team understand the overall the overarching goals of the community.
Mhm. I kind of think I took a little road trip with my mother over the weekend, and the Google Maps, and it was in an area I was unfamiliar with, and we're used to just kind of glancing up, right, and looking where your car is on the road. I like to squeeze it and look at the big picture. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
here's generally where I'm going, because all it shows on the screen is your car, just a little part of where it's going on, and that's kind of how I see this as you're talking, that if we're only looking at the minutia of sort of where you are right now and not looking at the big picture, how does all of that play into the bigger scope?
Yeah.
Then yeah, we're not really looking at the business strategically. And I think it helps identify and keep everyone focused on their why. Like, why is this
Good.
important? Because the impact is this bigger
I,
view.
And I do think it helps with the collaboration, communication amongst that triad. Again, I've been doing this a long time, so a lot of times there's a tug between sales and clinical. As far as where the sales has expectations, what they need to do to move things forward, and clinical is part of that. But when they're working together to that common goal and understand how both their positions make that happen, it's really helped with the relationship of those two departments to work together and collaborate.
Yeah. What do you all do in regard to supporting non-sales leaders, really focus in on that? So executive directors who are the sales leaders, we
Mm-hmm.
say that it is said over and over again. And some companies that is really true, and in
Mm-hmm.
some not so much.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get there? What's one thing LCB does that you feel like, yeah, this is really a best practice?
We've learned over the years of how to create. We always talk about that sales culture, but how do you create it? Create it. And part of our regional team have mastered that education and going in with a team once a quarter and talking, not not training, not sitting in front of them telling them what they should be doing, but talking about best practices, what are working in their community, and then lending other additional best practices so that again people understands what that culture means across the entire portfolio, their community entire portfolio. What's been very impactful for us is taking each department and taking each associate's role and explaining how, empowering them to be part of the bigger process, bigger picture, how empowering them to be a voice in the process, in the sales process. And our frontline staff love that. They love sharing why they do what they do each and every day. And as corny as that might sound, it's so important. That's what our families want to hear. That's that's the emotional connection that people are making at that time. But we've put a lot of emphasis on not just once, but once a quarter, sitting down and talking with the team about how they're doing it, what does it mean, and what else can we do to help augment or help their team get to a better place. It's always been a focus. It continues to be a focus, and culture, whether it's sales culture or your communicate culture, is not something you can just talk about once. You have to work on it each and every day.
Oh, I would agree. Absolutely. It sounds to me that Karen, the organization you and the organization really supports, going back to, you said, I get to do what I love to do every day. Why? Why is that? What do you love to do? What does an individual like to do? Why are you doing this
Right.
job, this
Mm-hmm.
service? And staying focused on that really does it. Again, it sounds great. I think most people would agree, yes, that's great. Uh-huh. But what do we really do to reinforce learning something? It's like saying have good listening skills. I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
think anyone would disagree that good listening skills, are really important. But how does one go about developing great listening skills? How does one go about developing a culture in which we're supporting, focused on our individual whys, the team's whys? Why is it important? What does each individual bring to the table as
Mm-hmm.
it relates to the goal, the common goal. What is the common goal? First of all, and we make an assumption, well, everybody knows the common goals are residents, of families, of team members. And I think of it, in that inner circle there that we're all focused on. But do they?
Yeah.
So it's that communication, it sounds like to me, and that reinforcement, and you just cannot reinforce this enough.
It's not a one-time thing. It's
Right.
every visit. It's every interaction you get, making the point to have that interaction with their associate, asking, what they love, what do they love, what do they love about their job, sharing that and giving them the power to share it. Part of our orientation for all of our new associates is actually that. I mean, our sales team has an opportunity to speak to each associate and provide that why to them. This is why we want you to be, we want to give you the opportunity to have that moment with a family that's in crisis, who's visiting our community, just to have that, see that smile on your face and a simple hello and a simple, what do you love about this community? I'm a true believer about empowering individuals when they feel they can be part of the bigger picture, the greater good. That's what jazzes people each and every day. What our associates do is so hard every day. I mean, it's just incredible the magical moments they make each and every day with their residents and family members. Let them have the opportunity to shout that out loud, and make that an important factor. Culture is so important, and I love the fact that LCB focus each and every day on culture, a form of culture. And that's what has kept us so successful and keep our associates in such a good place and happy in what they do.
That's fantastic. I can absolutely tell you love what you do.
I do.
Enjoy.
I do.
know, and that passion we need to bring to the table, because there's this innate challenges, right? Innate challenges in working in senior living, and people, thousands of people show up every day in spite of, or to look at these challenges, to conquer the challenges, to navigate around them. And it's amazing and so admirable at helping people focus back on, why we're doing this. What do you love about it? It helps you get through those days, and some days can be really, really challenging. Karen,
one last thing too, is we celebrate a lot, and it's celebrating in the simple successes. And part of what we do as a regional team as we go through communities is we take the time to talk to associates and celebrating their individual success, whether it's success at work or their family or their situations. Getting to know each other is also part of that culture that drives a sales culture at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Gosh, we did, and celebrating mini success, or what does success look like? It's not just the move in. That's not celebrating enough, right? It's not celebrating 4, 5, 6, 7 times a month. It's not enough.
Exactly. You got to do it each and every day. You got to find something each and every day to celebrate.
Yeah. What went well?
Yes.
What went well? Something went well today, or something good happened. And that's a great place to keep our mind, because we've got enough of the other stuff. Karen, I definitely want to have you back on. I'm going to talk about how you lead your regional team maybe later this year. Really
love that.
Yay. I love talking to you, and thank you so much for being on the Grow Your Occupancy podcast.
Thank you.
First quarter of 2025. Thank you all for listening until the end. If you would like to learn more about Grow Your Occupancy, you can hop on our website. Our second quarter webinar is in June. If you want to register for that, there's no charge, and all registrations. All registrars get a recording. So if you can't watch live, you can watch it at your convenience, and experts like Karen share very openly their expertise in supporting all of you all that support this wonderful business, senior living. Thank you again for watching. I'm Julie Podewitz. This webinar is brought to you by SalesMail, the #1 personalized video app for senior living.
Built on a powerful ROI and an unmatched customer experience, SalesMail's App Store ratings tell the only story you need to know. Generating higher click-through and conversion rates, SalesMail is the video app of choice for sales and marketing pros everywhere. Day after day, SalesMail users leverage video to build brand loyalty, create human connection, quickly establish trust, stand out from competitors, and get desired results faster.